What is going on, guys? It's been a while, but it is RealTutsGML here, back with another Game Maker Studio video. And today I have an exciting little project that we're going to be doing, and this is an advanced inventory system. This is actually a tutorial I've been wanting to do for a while now, but never got around to it. So I went ahead, and what I'm going to show you today is what I've actually created for my game Far From Home. What you're seeing on the screen now is what we will be creating, this inventory system. So you got all the basics plus some more of this inventory system. So I'm probably gonna put this into two separate videos. The first one is going to be just really how to create like the base of an inventory, and then the next one we're gonna add like the cool little the gadgets to the inventory, so to say. So equip slots and really anything you want. You can really design this however you'd like, and we're also going to be making it a little bit more efficient in the second video. So yeah, let's go ahead and get on with it. So here I am in Game Maker Studio, and so we're going to be using a lot of scripts for this just to make it easier. So I literally have a blank project here, so I'm going to go ahead and create a room, and I'm going to make it 1024 by 576. I just like that. Speed 60. It's normally the stuff I do right off the bat. So what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to pause the video, and I'm going to create just like a little blue box that we can move around the screen here, just so I can like pick up items and all of that stuff. So I will be right back. Alright, so I am back, and I just went ahead and did very simple code to go ahead and create a player. If you don't know how to create a box that moves around the screen, you probably shouldn't be making an inventory system at this point, because you will be very lost. But so here's my little box, and we can move around. And basically what I'm going to do is just set a couple items into the room when we actually get there, and we can just pick them up and add them to the inventory system, right? So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I have a sprite that was already created for my game, and it's going to just be the wood sprite, which we're going to use for as an item. So alright, so here it is. It's just a wooden log, which we're going to use as the item. And it's a 32 by 32 sprite. Now, it doesn't really matter what the sprite is going to, the size of it. You can always adapt what the values are. I made it real easy in the system that I've created to go ahead and just adapt and put values that you different values that you want into your system. So you can totally design the inventory system looking completely different, and it will still work the same way, which is cool. So alright, so now that we have that, I'm also going to, or we can do that a little bit later. Alright, so let's go ahead and create an object, and this is going to be our obj inventory, and I'm going to go ahead and put that into the room. This is a very important object. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is we are going to go ahead and in the create event, we have to initialize a couple things here. Alright, so I'm just going to comment here creating starting values. Alright, and the first thing we're going to want to do is how many slots do we want inside the inventory system, right? So how many total slots can we take up? So if we want like 8 slots, we can only have 8 different items in our inventory system, then we can do that or whatever. So I'm going to do total slots equals, I want to have 16 slots in mine. Alright, and we're also going to need a variable called curSlot, which stands for current slot as 0, and that's really just to keep track of which slot we are currently in and drawing and creating. So that's not too, that's important, but it's not, just have it at 0. Alright, and now what we're going to do is we are going to create a for loop here. I equals 0. I is less than our total slots, I plus plus. And here we're going to create a variable global.slot I, it's going to be an array variable here, and we're going to equal it to a string as no one, right? So basically what no one means is if you have if the way the inventory system is created is each slot has a different string value for it. So if your string value is wood, then that means that the global.slot whatever 6 5 whatever, if that string is equal to wood, then that slot has wood in it. If it has no one, that means there's nothing in that slot, right? So now we're going to create another for loop. I equals 0. I is less than total slots I plus plus, and here we're going to create another array value, coordinate x equals 0. Now this is for drawing our inventory system. So I'm going to do it one more time. I equals 0. I is less than total slots I plus plus, and we're going to do coordinate y, I equals 0. So this is again just for drawing like the different slots and all of that, right? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a or let's do that now. Yep. I'm going to go ahead and create a script, and I'm going to call it starting values. And basically what this script is going to do, you don't have to put it in the script, you can put it into the create event. We're only going to call it once. I just like to keep things organized. But here we're just going to say how many items are in the game and how many we have of that item. So I'm going to say global.wood equals 0 because that is our only item in the game. So if you add, say, a stone item or a pickaxe or a gun or whatever you have, gem, then you would just add it over here, global.gem equals 0. And this basically just lists all the items in your game and keeping track of how much is in the game at one point. So with that, I'm just going to run the script starting values, and that is it, right? So now that we have that taken up, oh, you know what? We got to do one more thing here, and this is going to be for a little later on. We're going to create a SPR variable that holds the sprite no sprite. This is what I was going to do up here, and I want to go ahead and just create a sprite that is pretty much nothing, and you'll see why later on, but that should update. Yeah, there we go. Alright, and slot taken equals -1. So right here, these values right here are basically for being able to pick up the item and drag it into the different slots. When we actually get to the code of implementing this, I'm going to explain it a little bit better and it'll make more sense to you. But just put it in for now, and let's go ahead and continue. So now let's go ahead and draw our inventory system. So in the draw event, alright, what we're going to do is we are going to start with, okay, how big do you want each slot to be? All right, so if we have, let's see, let's go into Paint real quick here. If we have our inventory system, we can design it now looking like this, and we want different slots. All right, that's terrible. There we go. Say we want our inventory system looking like this, but we want 3 rows. What we're gonna do is, how big do you want this slot to be, or like which box for each slot? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say, or I'm gonna create it as a variable cell width equals 48, and our cell height equals 48. Alright, so now let's just go ahead and draw it. So what I'm going to do is I am going to set the color for our inventory system to be C gray, and I'm going to set a transparency to 0.8. Now you can mess with all of this. Pretty much I've already created the inventory system, so I already know what looks good, or in my eyes what looks good and what I want. So these are the values that I'm portraying. If you want to put your inventory system to be green, then put your inventory system to be green, whatever you think is best, right? So here we have to draw it. So I'm going to create another variable, start x, and we're going to equal this to view underscore x view 0 plus 256. Now, if you're not using views in your game, then you won't need this. You could just put 256 or whatever values you want to start at. So what this is basically saying right here is start x is we're starting this box here, what this box looks like, at 256 pixels from the left of the actual window. So we're actually kind of centering it here, right? So I'm going to do the start y, and this is pretty much going to be the same thing, view underscore y view 0, and that's going to be plus 144. All right, so I mean, same concept. You're starting at 144 pixels from the top of your screen. All right, and then now we're gonna do one more variable, or two more. What is the width of our inventory system? So pretty much what is this entire width here, and we're gonna do what is the entire height of it as well. So that's what I was saying, is if you can easily change what your inventory system looked like very easily. So I'm gonna say 576, and the height is going to be 288. All right. So with that, we can just draw a rectangle at our start x, our start y, our start x plus our width, and our start y plus our height. And we're going to say false because we don't want it to outline. So if we just did that and we went ahead and ran the game, as you can see, we have our inventory system right here. We have this rectangle that was created, which is pretty cool. And now what I want to do too, because our player is over it in our inventory, I'm just going to set the depth like negative 99999, just so you know you want the inventory system over our player. All right, so there we go. So we've created a box on the screen. All right, so next thing we're going to do, and this is going to be a little bit more complicated, but we're going to create each slot, right? And the thing with creating our slots for our inventory system is we need to figure out or know the coordinates of each slot, and this is going to come in handy when we're able to click and drag to an item to the next slot, right? So I'm going to create a for loop within a for loop here. So I'm going to say xx equals our start x plus 32. So I want to have our first slot starting at our rectangle here, but 32 pixels to the right. So our start x plus 32. All right, and we're going to say xx is less than our start x plus width xx plus equals 115. Now that is just how far spaced each slot is to the next column. So you can again mess around with these values and see what you like, and it should be good, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and create that, and I'm gonna create one more for loop for yy equals our start y. And I'm gonna do plus 96 because I want it to be a little bit shorter. Plus we'll have room for our equip slot. So our yy is less than our start y plus height yy plus equals 64. All right. So now that we have that, we can draw the rectangle. So what I want to do is I want to say chord x current slot equals our xx. Now those are the starting values we created in the create event here. So our chord x, so we've created 16 coordinate x and 16 coordinate y's, and they're all valued at 0 now, but we're going to switch that by by using this here. So cur slot equals YY. So what we're basically doing here is why we created that current slot. So it's going to run through this code here, and it's going to create, since our current slot is at 0, it's going to take our first coordinate system and put, hey, our coordinate x. So basically the coordinate x and coordinate y of our first slot, it is saving in this array. All right, so then we can just draw set color to C underscore dark gray. We can draw set alpha 0.95, and we can draw our rectangle of the slot. So the rectangle is going to be XX, YY, XX plus cell width, and YY plus cell height. And false because we don't want it outlined, we want it completely filled in. Alright, and then what we're going to do is we're just going to say current slot plus plus, and just so that basically we don't want the current slot to keep going, we're going to say if our current slot is greater than or equal to total slots minus 1, cur slot equals 0. So basically saying, since this is going to be looping through so many times, we want our current slot to reset back to 0 after it's gone through all the total slots. So if we go ahead and run the game, let's see what we have. And there we go. So now we have 16 total slots, or 15. Yep, it should be 15. And here we go. So now we have a 5x3 row, and it's looking good. So again, you can pretty much create this in any sort of way that you want. If we mess around with the values here, we could probably get it looking completely different. So if we said 288 by 576, and we just tried that, just changing that up, let's see what that looks like. So obviously it's a little bit off, but now we have a more column dependent inventory system, how it looks at least. It's all going to run the same exact way. Alright, so let's change that back. Alright, so now that we have that, let's go ahead and after that we're going to go ahead and just reset everything here, set our alpha to 1, and draw our color to white. Alright. So there we go. That is basically just creating what the inventory system looks like. So now we're going to get into our scripts, and this is really the heart of our inventory system, right? How is it going to work? So let's go ahead and create the object in the game. So obj would. Just do that there. And I'm going to place these in the game. Alright. And what I'm going to do is collision with our wood is I want to run a script which basically adds it to the inventory. So I'm going to create the script now, but I'm going to say add to inv, and I'm going to say other.name, right? And I'm going to say with other instance destroy. And let's go ahead and create that script real quick. Add to inv. Oh, just kind of bugged out there. All right. So what we need to do is in our obj would, in the create event, we're going to initialize a variable name, and we're going to name it wood. This is what I was saying originally with how we are going to kind of base the inventory system off of a string value and what it's named. So when we come in contact with this object, it's going to take the name of it and put it in the parameter of our inventory. So what we need to do there. So let's go ahead and create that script. So what we're going to say is inv equals obj inventory, just so we can use the name a little bit shorter. And we're going to say we're going to create a variable toName, and we are going to equal this as argument 0. So if we come in contact with the wood, toName equals the string wood. All right, and I'll just comment that. All right, so now we just need to basically run through a for loop. So for I equals 0, I is less than in.total slots I plus plus. All right, so to add it to the inventory, we're just gonna say, basically say if global dot slot I equals toName, or hold on a second. Let me see. What are we doing here? So all right, here's what we need to do. All right, I'm just kind of bugged out there for a second. Let's say, all right, so we're running through all of the slots in our game right now. So we need to say if our I equals in.total slots minus 1. This basically means if our I gets all the way to the end of our inventory system, that means that it hasn't found a item in our inventory system. That it means we don't have the wood in our inventory system. So we're going to say if global.slot you know what, let's then we probably, okay, so then we're gonna have to create a for loop again in that total slots, and I'll explain this all in a second here. J++. Then we're gonna say if global.slot j equals no one, which means there's nothing in the slot, then we're going to add it. So global.slot j equals toName, and we're gonna break it, and we're gonna create another script that's add list toName. And let's go ahead and create that script real quick. It's a very basic script, add list, and this is just basically saying we're gonna say toName equals argument 0, and this is really just saying if toName equals wood, global.wood plus plus. That's all it is. So it's just basically taking our starting values and just adding to it. Right. So this right here is going to, what we're doing is we're running through a for loop of all of our inventory slots. If we cannot find if we run through the slots and they all are at no one, then we're going to just run through another one, find the first slot that doesn't have anything in it, and we're going to rename that slot to wood or whatever we pick up and just add it to the list. Alright, I hope that makes sense. So now we have to actually draw in everything, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to create another script. Now this is going to be the big script of our inventory system. I'm going to call it manage objects, right? And I'm going to create two arguments here. So we know cell width equals argument 0, cell height equals argument 1. And in our inventory slot, we're just going to manage objects, cell width, cell height. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to have to draw our sprites in. So we're going to create a quick for loop, I equals 0. I is less than total slots, I plus plus. And here we're going to say if global dot slot I equals wood, we are going to draw the sprite SBR wood at 0 subimage and coordinate x I plus 8, so we can have it in the middle there, and coordinate y I plus 8. And we can also draw text at coordinate x I plus 3 and coordinate y I plus 3 with a string of our global.wood. So basically how much we have in that slot, right? So if we go ahead and play the game, or you know what, we need to, did we do the collision? Yeah, we did. All right, let's go ahead and play the game. And if we go ahead and run into it, oh, as you can see, we get objects into our inventory system. Now we have a problem here, and that is that every time we pick up a piece of wood, it doesn't stack. Our objects don't stack currently. They just keep going. And if we get to the top there, oh, and as you can see, we have our 16 up here. It's not actually. So we enable our view system here at 576. So we have a couple problems. So it's not actually displaying. Oh, there. Oh, okay. You know what? There it is. It's just very, very light. So let's go into manage object real quick and draw set color, C black. There we go. Let's try it one more time. There we go. So as you can see, we have a problem here. So it is displaying how much we have, but it doesn't stack. So let's go ahead and let's fix this. So what we need to do is we need to go into our add to inventory script here, and we need to check, hey, listen, if we already have a object in a slot, let's just stack on top of it. So we can say if global.slot I already equals our name of what we picked up, then we can just add the list right there to name and break it. So with that, let's see if that works. We have 1, 2, oh, and it works. 3, 4, 5, 6, and there we go. So now we have stackable items there. So we have 17 wood in that slot. And let's go ahead and just to make it look better, let's add the C white. Make it a white text. All right. So now what we want to do is we want to be able to click on our item and drag it to another slot to kind of manage it and all of that. So this is going to be a little hefty process, but definitely something that you need in an inventory system. So what I'm going to do is first I'm going to say create a for loop, I equals 0, I is less than total slots, I plus plus. And here I'm going to say if mouse underscore check underscore button MB underscore left. So this is basically saying this is not, oh, let's do pressed. So this is when we press on a item, right? We're going to say, or you know what, let's go ahead and create another script just to make it a little bit easier. I'm going to create one more script, and this is, I mean, it's not necessary, but it will make your life easier. We're going to have a mouse over script. So this script is just going to check if our mouse is within a certain coordinate system. So I'm just going to quickly say start x equals argument 0, bar start y equals argument 1, our width equals argument 2, and our height equals argument 3. So if our mouse underscore x is greater than or equal to start x, and our mouse underscore x is less than our start x plus width, then we're going to say if mouse underscore y is greater than or equal to start y, and our mouse underscore y is less than start y plus height, then return true. Else return false, and else return false. Pretty simple. So if we go back into our manage objects, we're going to say if our mouse is over and coordinate x and our coordinate y, I, and with our cell width and our cell height, then we are going to say, let's put this up here. We're going to check if global.slot_i does not equal no one. So pretty much what we're saying here is, okay, if we click a slot and the slot does not equal no one, so this means that if we click a slot and there is something inside that slot, we are going to say if global.slot_i equals wood, then slot taken equals I, and SPR equals SPR wood. So this is what we were doing with originally when I told you about these variables that we're creating here, SPR and slot taken. What we're doing is when we click on this slot, we're taking that slot taken and we're making it the slot we just took. So we can't take, it's just basically like fixing a glitch. We can't pick up our item and put it back into the same slot. We can, I mean, you can cancel it out, which we'll do, but it's just, if you don't put that in there, we will get glitches. And then we're creating our SPR to equal our wood, so we can have the visual of us actually clicking and dragging it and picking it up and bringing it around, right? So with that, we can say, let's create a comment dragging the item around. I'm going to say if mouse check button MB left. So this is basically constantly checking if we are pressing the button. We can just draw a sprite of SPR 0 to mouse underscore X -8 and mouse underscore Y -8. So we're just drawing our sprite on our button. So what's going to get complicated here is when we release the button, right? So if mouse underscore check underscore button underscore released MB underscore left, we're going to create a for loop, I equals 0, I is less than total slots, I plus plus. And here we are going to create couple variables. Start x equals view underscore x view 0 plus 256. Start y equals view underscore y view 0 plus 144. Bar width equals 576. This is all stuff we've already done here, but we created them as temporary variables in the draw event, so we can't reuse them here. And there we go. So now that we have that, that's just basically saying if we want to take our inventory system or our item and drag it out of our inventory system, then we're going to need these coordinates. But for now, just to be able to switch it from slot to slot, what we're going to say is if global.slot I equals no one, if, and we need to create, no, hold on a second. Yeah, if our mouse over, we're going to use that script again, coordinate x, I, coordinate y, I, cell width, and cell height, we're going to create a temporary variable var temp SBR equals our SBR, and we're going to say if temp SBR equals SBR would, then global.slot I equals would, and global.slot slot taken equals no one, and then our SBR equals no sprite. So what we're doing here is when we release, we're looking at seeing what coordinate we are. If we are basically what this is saying, hey, if we're transferring wood, then global.slot I, the one we're on now, equals wood, and the global.slot of which we took the wood from equals no one now because we just transferred it, which is what we're doing up here when we actually click on the sprite. We're taking that slot taken and it's equaling I, so it's taking which slot we took it from, right? And then just in case we void it or something, we're going to say SBR equals no sprite. So if we run the game now, let's go ahead and see what happens. So we pick it up, we take it, and as you can see when we press it, we bring it into this slot here. Oh, it doesn't seem to be working quite right. But we can pick it up. See, if you try and click these other slots, we don't get any sprite, but if we do pick up the wood here, we get some wood on our mouse. So there's something wrong with when we release it though. So let's figure that out. Alright, I think what we need to do is take this and put it down there. I was one curly brace shy, so let's go ahead and try it again. So we're roaming around, we go and pick up the slots here, or the items, and now we drag it, and we can now drag it to different slots, which is cool. And if we drag it not on a slot, it voids it out, so it returns it back to nothing here. So we can do it pretty quick. It's pretty efficient. It's really active, so pretty cool. What I was doing up here with these, if you want to go ahead and let's say you don't want the item anymore, we can say if not mouse over start X, start y, width, and height. Then we can say, we can create our temp SBR equals SBR, and if temp SBR equals SBR would, then we could just create like a simple for loop for j equals 0. J is less than global.would j plus plus, and we can just instance create at obj_player.x plus, I don't know, 96 obj_player.y and obj would. And then we say global.would equals 0 and global.slot taken equals no one, and our SBR equals no sprite. So if we run that, we should be able to take that, and then if we drag it out, oh, it creates it right here. It creates 2 of them, and we can just pretty much just take them out of the inventory system. So if we want to drag that out, I don't want it anymore, and there it is. 5 are created, and it stacks up. So this is going to be the very, very basics of an inventory system. Now, next part, which is probably going to be the final part, we're going to go into a lot of cooler stuff. We can right-click to cut it in half, so 3 and 3. We can make equip slots. We can actually take this and use stuff with this inventory system. So I want to go ahead and get that out in the next couple days here. I am back to rock and roll with you guys, so that should be fun. I'm also wanting to go ahead and make a limit for how many of each item we can have in each slot. So if you want 32, 64, 16, 8, then we can create a limit on that. So thank you guys for watching. Go and like. Let's try and hit 200 likes this time. I really appreciate it. And let me know in the comment section any questions, concerns, or anything like that. And I will get to you guys next time. Peace.